So, your position is that we ought not have gone in, right?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
I've explained why a few times. I mean, if you want me to explain again, it's basically okay. Yes, Saddam Hussein was bad, and I understand that yes,
Mm-hmm.
there was a genocide, more than one that had occurred, and he was
Yep.
fighting wars with Iran and similar things. But then at the end of the day, us coming in and doing what we had done, we destabilized the whole region. Not
Okay.
just Iraq, but Iran has more power. Afghanistan fell. Syria had a total conflict. We're bombing in Pakistan.
Oh,
Like it's
you're.
it's a huge insurgency
Yep.
has gone up. Like Iraq is still not stable, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a
Okay.
bad deal.
So you listed a bunch of things. You kind of conflating a few things, but whatever. Okay. So it's not stable. It's more stable than it was under Saddam, isn't it?
I don't think so. Because like
You
we
don't
see the
think
whole
so?
region. For instance, he kept Iran tempered to some extent. They had their wars, but now Iran is more of an issue. America is literally talking about a war with Iran now.
No, we're
Like,
not. We're talking about getting back
uh,
to the negotiating table with Iran. That's what we're talking about.
yeah, but the fact that we even need to talk about it, I mean, it's a problem. And then on top of
Oh,
that, like
okay.
Iraq was fighting Iran pretty heavily, weren't they? And like
Yeah,
realistically,
they were.
yes, we didn't have to worry about Iran if not for this. And then
Oh,
realistically,
wait.
at least not to the same extent. And
Iraq
then,
wasn't fighting Iran at the time that we invaded, though.
yeah, but on
You
and off,
understand that,
that was
right?
a constant
Wait,
battle,
what do you
constant
mean
struggle.
on and off?
So, the
Iraq and
Iran-Iraq
Iran
War,
conflict.
the
Are you
Iran-Iraq
talking about the
War.
Iran-Iraq War from 1980 to 1988?
So, Iran-Iraq War, yeah, ended in 1988.
I
Um,
I
Whoa, was it a
we
dog whistle?
continued fighting them
so,
all the way to 2003.
so, Charnel. So you're saying that Iran wouldn't have been an issue if we just kept Saddam in power?
I'm saying it more likely would not have been. Yeah.
You don't think it's better? It's like so like the Iran-Iraq War never actually had a real resolution. It came to like a bloody stalemate.
Yeah,
Do you
I'm
think it would have been?
aware.
Oh yeah, good. So do you think it would have been better for Saddam to like annex Iran, or do you think it would have been better for them to still be fighting today? What do you think?
No, but I think they had constant tension, and then us
Oh,
creating a vacuum in Iraq allowed Iran to have more power, basically.
so
Because
oh okay. Go on.
yeah, and that has caused more of an issue with Iran, because Iran
So
now
you're not
has more
actually.
power because of the vacuum in Iraq.
So you're not actually arguing against invading Iraq. You're arguing against the conduct and against the conduct of the invasion that happened. You would be fine with an
Mm,
invasion of Iraq and a removal from power of Saddam that was done competently.
competently or at a different time. Like for instance, the Gulf War I feel was appropriate. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, that was a big problem, including for us because of our oil supply. So it would have made sense for us to get involved, and if that would have succeeded, that would have been fine. But it didn't, and I don't think that coming back after 10 years or 15 years would have been sensible. Uh, how to explain? I think the region would have been much more stable if we wouldn't have been involved. Like ISIL and similar insurgencies are a direct consequence. Syria would not have had the revolution, and that revolution has killed so many people. They're
Oh,
still
Syria
having it.
ought have had the revolution. It just ought to have gone a different.
Yeah, and now it's happening largely in part with insurgency. It's a big problem. And then like, how can you possibly tackle the issue of the insurgency in the region?
Oh, I can tell you how. You want me to tell
Like
you
you
how?
think that that is an
I can tell you how.
okay
No,
consequence? Like I'm not sure
no.
what you're.
Okay. I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how you tackle the insurgency. Problem with the insurgency was that the bat was that was that Bush put somebody in power, um, basically in charge of the transitional government, who did a policy called de-Baathification, okay? And
Yeah.
de-Baathification was a miserable failure because what they did was they banned every single person from civil service who had been part of the Ba'ath Party. And the problem with that was that the Ba'ath Party for decades had been the only legal party, right? So there were people who ought not have been barred from civil service who were, and there were I think hundreds of thousands of them, right? And that contributed hugely to the insurgency. That's what you would have done. You would have never done the stupid fucking de-Baathification policy that you did. That's what they should have done to avoid like the scale of the insurgency that happened.
And so you think that is the problem that we had, is essentially the cleanup after the Iraq War. I mean, it's still
Yes.
going out technically, but yeah.
Yes. So the actual fighting was actually very actually went very well, right? The actual occupation of the country went very
And I
well.
could maybe get behind that. I could probably agree with that stance. However, I do see what happened as still direct consequence of that Iraq war. It's like if we say that, well, we just
Okay.
didn't handle it well, therefore it got fucked up. It's like, well, no, it got fucked up in the first place because we went in. You can argue that
No.
like, if we had not gone in, then this would not have been so fucked up. And now, like, I understand you're saying that it went bad because of bad implementation after
Yes.
the downfall of Saddam. But it's like, but
Mhm.
realistically, we would not have had to do that if he had not been removed.
Oh wait, we had to remove him. Like it was like something that was necessary to do, right?
Why was it our responsibility?
Oh, so because we're the most powerful country in the world, right? As the most
I
powerful country in the world, we have a vested interest in maintaining like, the stability of other countries. Iraq had repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Had attacked
wait.
Kuwait.
I would
Had
like
attacked.
to
Had attacked. Had attacked.
I would
I'm going to
like to
finish my
clarify
sentence.
this.
I want to
Okay.
finish. Okay. So here's why we had an interest in it. Because Iraq was ruled by a paranoid maniac who had committed multiple genocides and attacked his neighbors multiple times. And we have a vested interest in maintaining like democratic institutions and creating democratic institutions because democracy is better ultimately for like human well-being. And if we want to promote human well-being, then we ought to promote democracy. That's why it was our business.
So I don't agree, because like our vested interest in the Middle East specifically is almost non-existent. Like at the time, what allies do we have in that region, for instance?
What
I could say
allies?
Israel,
Sure. We had Israel, Lebanon,
Saudi Arabia. Yeah, Saudi
Jordan.
Arabia was mentioned. That's a good one.
Oh,
Kuwait before
wait.
it was
Do you think
conquered.
this is a gotcha? Do you think this is
Whoa,
a
did
gotcha?
Charnel just say that Saudi Arabia is a good one?
No.
Oh man, Charnel thinks Saudi
No.
Arabia is good? What?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Stop.
Charnel, why do
No.
you think Saudi Arabia is good?
Okay,
It's a good one to mention because it's important to us. I'm not saying it's a good
Whoa,
country.
you said it's a good one.
okay. We have Israel, we have Saudi Arabia, we have Qatar, we had Kuwait, we had Jordan, we had Egypt, we had Bahrain. We had the UAE. It's quite a lot of allies, isn't it?
Yeah. And which of these were threatened by Iraq?
Charnel,
Oh, Iran and Kuwait.
Charnel, pop quiz. What does the UAE stand for?
The United Arab Emirates.
Okay, there we
Okay.
go.
Several Emirates owned
So-
by Sheikh, right? And each Sheikh has a
So-
region like Dubai
okay.
or Abu Dhabi. Like I'm
Okay,
well aware of the
okay.
UAE.
Your cheeks.
Okay.
Sure.
Iran and Kuwait were threatened by Iraq
hmm
because they'd already been attacked by Iraq once.
We'd already had a war about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Do you think Saddam wouldn't have done anything again?
Well, he wasn't. I mean, I understand that there's the fear that he would.
Oh,
But-
yeah. Wait, he probably would have. He was growing incredibly paranoid, especially up in the lead up to the Iraq War.
Hmm. I don't
This
think
is
so. I don't
this
think
is
I
like
saw
well
any
documented.
conflict with Kuwait leading up to the Iraq War. No. I mean,
Oh, but okay. There's a quote from Saddam Hussein. I'm pretty sure it's when they were interrogating him. And he said something like it's a shame that like they got me when they did, because then I wouldn't have been able to like develop because if they had because if they had invaded like later, then I would have been able to like have like a viable nuclear weapons program basically. So
Oh yeah, of
he was
course he's gonna say
pursuing.
that.
Wait, that's true. Have you ever heard of the bomb in my garden? The bomb in my garden? Have you ever
I
heard of
don't
that?
think they would have actually been close to
Wait,
a
can you answer the
nuclear
question?
weapon.
Can you answer the
Like for instance,
question?
we
It's
were
called the.
looking for WMDs for like 10 years, right? We never did find any supplies for
We
nuclear
oh,
weapons.
so we found that we did find that they had been like they had been pursuing like a program. They didn't get anywhere. But they had
Right.
been trying.
So to say that they would have had a
Ha-
nuclear bomb is a bit
Oh, that's what
presumptuous.
he
I don't
said.
think
Wait,
so.
that's what I'm quoting. You're being bad faith right now because I was quoting him. Okay, he was
Well, yeah,
pursuing
yeah,
a
but I
nuclear
don't
weapons program. We have a
pursue
vested
it.
interest in having fewer nuclear weapons in the region. Have you ever
So
heard of
you think
Mario
we should
Beatty?
probably fight North
Have you ever heard of
Korea?
Mario Beatty? Have you ever heard of?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
we can't
Have you ever heard of
force. We actually can't fight North Korea. That'd be really fucking stupid
Okay,
because they would nuke
okay.
us.
Have you ever heard of Mario Beatty?
The name is familiar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good because Mario Beatty, he was a scientist under Saddam's government, and he wrote a book called "The Bomb in My Garden," where he described the attempt to create a nuclear weapons program by Saddam. He showed them. He took like investigators to his garden and he dug up like a nuclear centrifuge that he had been hiding there. If you don't think that they had been like pursuing this is like, then I'm afraid like you just don't know anything about this. Like I can send you this if you.
Yeah, I would like to see that, but I don't
Yeah,
think that they were close to having a nuclear weapon, considering the search for WMDs came up with
they had
nothing.
wait, but we have the fact that he had a centrifuge buried in his garden.
So Charnel, we can't fight North Korea because they have nukes. It would be really bad if we fought North Korea because they would nuke the nearest. I guess the nearest major city to them would be Los Angeles, right? It's a
Right.
population of about 4 million people. That'd be 4 million people dead because you want us to fight North Korea. It's
Well,
really
no,
good
no,
to
I'm
stop
not
people
saying
from
that
making
they
nukes in
should.
advance. You can't stop. You can't like really fight somebody once they already have nukes. It's a really dumb
And
idea, right?
arguably, the argument with North Korea is really we should do something about Russia, right? Because they're the ones that sold them nukes.
No, the argument you just made was that
No,
we should do something about North Korea, and I'm telling you we can't.
here's a
No, no, no,
here's an
no. I was
article.
proposing that if the
No, the
argument was
words you said was we
Wait, I
should
want
do
to
something
stay.
about North Korea.
I
Don't
want
say no, no,
I
no
want
to
to
that. You verbally said this.
I want to stay on this
the
point.
reason I brought it up is because what was said to me is Iraq is
I'm telling you why that's a bad
nuclear
idea.
weapons.
I'm telling you it's a
Can we
bad
stay on
idea,
this point?
Charnel. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we stay on the Iraq point? Okay. Here's an article. This is about Mahdi Obeidi. This is just a short summary, but after the fall of Baghdad, Dr. Obeidi contacted U.S. personnel and led them to the spot in his backyard garden in Baghdad, where he had buried plans and parts for a centrifuge program 12 years earlier after UN arms inspectors forced Iraq to close its nuclear weapons program in 1991. So this would be evidence that they were pursuing a nuclear weapons program, right?
Pursuing, but whether they would be at all successful, I doubt.
They would be.
They
How much do you know
likely
about
would have
nuclear
been.
weapons, Charnel?
It's not rocket science.
Some.
Okay, so do you know the process through which you enrich uranium?
Somewhat.
Okay, what is it? What do you know?
And I guess that's what he was doing, but it's like, but
No, I
yeah,
asked
he
you.
was
You said
definitely
you
enriching
understand the
uranium.
process through. No. Answer my question. What is the process through which you enrich uranium? You only know it somewhat, which is fine, but what is it?
You spin it really fast.
That's true.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it is?
like
I was
isotope
just shitposting.
separation because you need uranium-238, right?
No.
I'm aware
No.
somewhat, but it's not like you know how
No.
to physically do
That's
this.
the opposite of the truth. Though you don't need uranium-238. The only part you don't need is
235.
uranium-238. Yes, it's 235. 235 is the highly fissile one, which is very rare. 238 is the one that's very common. It's about 98% or 99% of uranium, and it's the kind you want to remove. That's what enriching uranium does. Is you take the uranium-238 and you spin it really, really fucking fast, and so the uranium-238 it goes on one side, and the 235 goes on the other because they're different masses.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the process through which you enrich uranium. It's a very simple process to enrich uranium. There are even shittier versions of enriching uranium that you can also do. They don't use centrifuges. They instead use you know what the material that they make pans out of? Teflon. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do is you pour the uranium over the Teflon, and some of the uranium falls into little tiny porous holes in the Teflon, and some of it like just keeps passing over. And this lets you separate out like the heavier and the lighter uranium. This is another way you can enrich uranium that's also very cheap. It's not difficult to enrich uranium, and once you've enriched uranium, it's very, very likely, like the moment you have enriched uranium, that you're going to be able to use that to make bombs. Because the thing that makes a nuclear bomb work is also very simple. Just like enriching uranium is very simple.
Yeah, I guess maybe, probably. But then, I don't know. Like, would he have been a threat to us? Like, maybe our allies, maybe specifically Israel. Who else would he want to bomb?
Iran?
Yeah, Iran, but Iran is not our ally anyway.
Oh, but that doesn't mean that we would want them to be nuked, right?
That would be bad.
No, but it's
It would be-
kind of none of our business.
Wait, but yes, it is. So the use of nuclear weapons is absolutely our business.
Kind of like affects the planet a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, so like first, if we tolerated a country using nuclear weapons against its neighbors, unprovoked, what kind of message do you think that would send to other countries around the world that want to build nuclear programs but aren't because they're worried about retaliation from the United States? What kind of message do you think that would send? I'll tell you.
So
It would send
Iran
the message. It would
is-
send the message. It would send. I'm going to finish my sentence, buddy.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what the message it would send if you allowed Iraq to nuke one or two of its allies is that countries around the world that think they'll be retaliated against for doing that, or for pursuing a nuclear program, will know that they won't be. That's what it would do. Do you understand why that would be a threat? Why that would be a problem?
Yes. However, Iran and Iraq is not really our problem. Like, Iran was also enriching uranium, right? So, like, hypothetically, there would be tensions like we saw in the Cold War, not necessarily them literally bombing each other.
Oh,
That's the
okay, so we don't
conclusion
want
that would
tensions like we
be-
saw in the Cold War.
Oh, yeah, and I mean that I guess would be a proper argument. But then it's like, well,
So,
there are
like-
other countries that have nuclear weapons, and we have nuclear proliferation treaties and so
Sure.
on. But then other people are violating it, and it's like when people are violating it, does that mean we should automatically go to war? It's like I think that this would
No.
expend our resources too dramatically. We can't be the world police. We don't.
Okay.
We hardly have the support of the UN.
Okay. Let me. Oh, first of all, the UN did approve intervention in Iraq. By the way, I can send you the resolution on that.
No. I'm talking specifically about nuclear proliferation. Like I don't think the UN.
No,
I'm
you
gonna-
just said the
attack
UN did not.
North
No,
Korea.
you just said that the UN didn't have her backs on that.
Charnel, I have a question real quick. Are you pro-Israel or anti-Semitic?
Okay. So Charnel.
No answer. So cringe.
So
Yeah,
Sure,
it's
no.
clear.
I could probably be described as anti-Zionist, but I'm not anti-Semitic.
So the problem,
Same
Charnel,
thing.
the problem, Charnel, is that you're asking, like you think that like nuclear like we should have gone to war because of possible nuclear proliferation? Oh, should we go to war with like every nuclear power? Well, the answer is probably not. But the answer would be that if there was like a significant threat of like an unstable regime, like controlled by like a paranoid dictator, obtaining a nuclear weapon, that we should probably take military action against them if diplomatic action doesn't work. That would be
Well,
the
then-
answer there, and that was the case there.
If that is the answer, then we would be more justified in going to war with North Korea.
No, because they already have the program. We would have been more
Exactly.
justified when they were. That's not exact. It's not a point to you. It's just irrelevant. So they already have the program.
Oh.
We would have been. We would have been. This would have applied. I would have said that if when they were building it, if we had gone to war, that would have been justified. But because they've already built it, we shouldn't go to war with them because that won't prevent further nuclear proliferation. That will just increase the likelihood of them nuking their neighbors. Okay.
I think if you are willing to go to war to stop the production of nuclear weapons, then you should definitely be willing to go to war to stop the use of already existing nuclear weapons.
Oh, so
Okay,
you
that's
should be able to-
stupid.
Yeah.
Because you don't make less
No,
people
that's
get nuked that way. The goal is to make less people get nuked.
Exactly.
So to like punish people. No, not exactly. That's the opposite of what you said.
No. What is worse? What is worse? Someone already having nuclear weapons, or someone maybe having weapons in the future?
It's the point is not to punish people for having
Wow.
nukes. The point is to make sure less people have a chance of getting nuked.
Yes.
Right.
And you don't do that by
No,
going to war
not
with
right. This is the opposite of what you said.
No.
This conflicts with the idea that you just gave us.
No, using your phrasing, that means that you think that Iraq would be more likely to nuke somebody than North Korea is.
No, okay, so I'm gonna...
Oh.
Okay, so Charnel.
Why do you
Charnel.
believe this?
Charnel, okay. Charnel, here's the problem. If we go to war with a country that's currently a nuclear power, we have moved past the window in which we can responsibly prevent them from getting nuclear weapons, and you are very likely to cause a nuclear war that way. If we go to war with a country that is just in the process of it, it's just in the process of developing a nuclear weapons program, then we are less likely to see people use nuclear weapons, right? Because they don't have a program yet.
I think that people are more likely to use nuclear weapons if they have them in hand than if they might have them in
Okay. Alright. Hey, Synth, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, from what I can tell about this Mario Beatty guy, this guy had like a partially completed centrifuge in his garden.
Mhm.
Given that, how long do you think it would have been before Iraq had a nuclear weapon?
Oh, given that, like, I could imagine this being like done very, very quickly. So if you already had a partially completed centrifuge, the idea would be to complete the centrifuge so you can use it to make enriched uranium. Once you can enrich uranium with a centrifuge, then you kind of already you're like very, very few steps away from like actually having nuclear weapons at that point. So like
Okay.
The main thing that makes like nuclear reactors like not explode is the fact that like they have like a lower mix of like fissile material to non-fissile material, and that makes like the reactions way slower. But if you like let the little things like bump around and like shoot into each other, and like with purely fissile material, like a very highly enriched uranium would let you do. Or worse, what you can do then is you usually you can use that enriched uranium to make weapons grade plutonium, which is very, very, very bad. You don't want people to use that.
Right.
Unless they're using like a thorium reactor, I guess. But yeah, if you want people to use, if you want to have nuclear weapons, usually the path is like you enrich uranium, then you use the uranium in a uranium-235 power plant or something. Then you have like a really good cover for. You have a really good cover at that point for then having like a huge generator for weapons grade plutonium, which is like the natural byproduct of like the 235 reaction. Once you have that 235 reaction making the weapons grade plutonium, then you can use the weapons grade plutonium in like a bomb very, very easily. So I don't. It's a matter of like how long would it take them to build a nuclear reactor, and do they already have a nuclear reactor? A quick shitty one that's like just being used to make plutonium, you could probably do in like 5 years. A much better one that you can use both to make the plutonium and also to like generate some electricity for your power grid would be about 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. At the time, it would have been about 10 years, about 7 now.
And from what I understand, they were buying parts just like off the shelf, like black market, like parts for their nuclear program, like just pre-built off the shelf. So given that, then it seems likely that if they had pursued this with any amount of resources, then it seems likely that they could have developed a nuclear weapon, right?
Oh,
I know
absolutely,
that
yeah.
part's true. There were
Mhm.
ICBM concerns during the Gulf War already, so that
And
part is
the major meme is like if you have like an issue with wanting to make sure less people get nuked, the strategy you take is you take a look at like who has the nukes. These are the people you can't really mess with because they will nuke people if you do. And you take a look at who doesn't have the nukes but who might in the future, and this is the people you mess with because these people don't have nukes yet. What you can do is you can stop them from ever getting nukes, and then they can't use the nukes. If People already have
that
nukes,
circles
and they
back
can
to
they can use the
people-
nukes if you do anything about it. If you do something about it, they can nuke others, which is bad.
Yeah.
We want to reduce that, right, Charnel?
Doesn't
wanna
that
make sure
circle
less
back
people
to the
get nukes?
argument? Doesn't that circle back to the argument that the people around the world that are
No.
selling nukes to other countries are equally as problematic, if not worse, because they're giving people already.
If they are selling nukes, we cannot go invade them to stop them from selling nukes, because then they will nuke us. That's really bad. We want to make sure less people get nuked, right? Okay, so if they have the nukes, and we try to go stop them from having the nukes, they will nuke us, and then more people get nuked, and lots of people die.
So how do you think you fix this problem?
Oh, well, what you do is you look at the people who don't already have nukes, the people who are like about to get nukes, and you go deal with them because they can't nuke you yet. The thing we,
Like, for instance,
that we're
right
doing.
now, any office rocker dictator can just go and buy a nuke.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's a very limited number of people that are selling them.
Yes,
they
there's
can
very
buy
limited
parts
amount
for
they're willing
them.
to sell you.
North Korea, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think they have the resources to be just building nukes for other people? They have like 6 nukes.
No, I'm not saying they're the ones
So
selling.
no, here's the big issue. So North Korea did not just buy a nuke and boom, like they had nukes. What they did is they enriched uranium, we were talking about earlier, which is like the big issue. That's the hard part. And then once they were done enriching uranium, then they bought the mechanics to use to put the plutonium or weapons grade plutonium in. So it's not like they just like bought nukes right off like the black market or something. It's like what they did is they enriched uranium. They turned this uranium into weapons grade plutonium, and then they have nukes.
Just pick one up from Walmart.
Yeah, pick one up from the hunting section of Walmart. There you go.
Yeah. So Charnel, do you think it would have been better? Do you think it's just a better outcome, whether you think the conduct of the war was good or not? Do you think it's a better outcome to have Saddam gone and out of power, or do you think it's a better outcome to have to constantly be worrying about the fact that there's like a paranoid, insane person in an important region of the world who is very likely pursuing like a nuclear weapon? Which ones do you think? Which one of those situations is like better? Because if Saddam was still in power,
I do think that the concerns of insurgency are more of a problem. Like, for instance, like who's going to end up having power in this region when all is said and done? Because this region is still not stable.
Okay,
okay.
You're
Yeah,
just answering a different question.
Take power. We do see someone take power. Whether they're going to start a nuclear program remains to be seen. But then, like, I understand you're saying that within 5 years it's done good for sure because there's already a nuclear program, and perhaps. But I do think that that's somewhat. I don't know. Like, I'm wondering why I'm just now hearing about this enrichment program when all the talk has been that there was no enrichment program.
Because you didn't do your research before having this conversation. That's what you just heard about it now.
Perhaps.
Yeah, so if you did do your research, you would have known about Mahdi Obeidi because he's actually like a pretty important figure in all of this. Okay. So,
because like
the problem
what I'm reading right now is like the United Nations weapons inspectors found no indication that they possess nuclear weapons or an active program. But then I understand you're pointing to this one person who wrote a book about they had
who was a lead nuclear scientist in Iraq under Saddam's regime.
So how was the UN not aware?
When did they say this?
In 2003.
Oh, the UN wasn't aware because he operated like undercover, right? He didn't openly say this, right?
You're saying that, but he also wrote a book about it. Like, it's not.
Oh yeah, after Iraq was after.
Did he write? Wait, did he write the book in 2003?
I don't know.
Was it in 2003? The year 2003? Charnel?
I don't know. I'm not the one who.
Oh, well, that would be critical here, right?
Yeah.
They don't have access to a book that only exists in the future.
Okay. Here you go. Okay, I haven't. So this is actually this isn't like a. You try to find me somebody who's disputing like the this happening. Here's an LA Times article. Obeidi said we were so close to getting a bomb. We were so close to getting tens or hundreds of bombs. To us, the sky was the limit. Looking back, the world was lucky. He suspects that Obeidi would have used it against Israel. By the time the Persian Gulf War began, he had built a prototype centrifuge system capable of turning Iraq's small stockpile of enriched uranium into weapons-grade fuel for a crude atomic bomb. When Iraq shuttered its nuclear program after the ceasefire that ended the 1991 war, he buried his centrifuge designs and several key components in a 50-gallon barrel under a lotus tree in his backyard. Over the next few years, under strict Iraqi orders to conceal himself on all sides of his mothballed program, he repeatedly lied to United Nations inspectors, disguised and destroyed evidence, and once ran out the back door and hid for hours behind a wall to evade a surprise UN raid.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why the UN would not have found these things, because they searched the country for, a long time. And if they never found
because they didn't have the
evidence-
same resources as a world superpower.
So like, yeah, here's the problem.
A spokesman for the DIA asserted that the team's findings were neither ignored nor suppressed, but were incorporated in the work of the Iraqi Survey Group, which led the official search for Iraqi weapons of mass destruction. The survey group's final report in September of 2004, 15 months after the technical report was written, said the trailers were impractical for biological weapons production and were, quote, almost
What
certainly
trailers?
intended, end quote,
You're
for manufacturing hydrogen for weather balloons.
You're reading something different. What do you mean trailers? You're reading something different.
The
What
UN
are you
Security
reading?
Council that was in there looking for WMD. And
You're reading
the only
something
time they
different.
ever did look, the only time they did find
You're reading
anything.
something different. You're talking about trailers now. You're talking about trailers.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not about trailers. This is about a centrifuge buried in his garden.
And the only evidence of this is this person saying he had one?
Oh, the top nuclear site? No, actually. It's not the only evidence. These parts were actually confiscated. He traded these parts for like asylum in the United States.
Hey, testing. I mean, Gitgle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What you doing at the moment? What, you playing a game or something?
I'm looking through the server
boy.
list.
Nice.
Here you go.
I'm playing Thug Pro. I'm live streaming it.
Yeah.
So this is 2003. A former Iraqi nuclear scientist gave U.S. intelligence officials a new lead in their search for weapons of mass destruction. A trove of blueprints and parts he says were buried 12 years ago for use in the event that Saddam Hussein resumed his quest for a nuclear bomb. There you go. This is confirmed.
Saddam had talked about it for years and years and years leading up to the Iraq War, that his primary goal was to have the UN sanctions lifted to maintain the security of his regime. And because of that, he was saying that it remains his goal to the end of the regime as that the starting of any WMD program, conspicuous or otherwise, risked undoing the progress achieved and eroding sanctions and jeopardizing a political end of the embargo.
So check out the article I posted. If you're still doubting that this guy had centrifuge parts, Iraqi scientist turns over nuclear plans and parts, 2003.
And if this came out in 2003, why would the UN, the Security Council, not have considered this?
Oh. So, I don't know what you mean?
Because they had a whole... During the Iraq War, we had been after the fall of Saddam Hussein, we looked for weapons of mass destruction for like 10 years. And after a few years in, we already surmised that there had been none.
Oh no, no. We surmised that he did not have an active program. We found plenty of weapons. We just surmised that there was not an active program.
Yeah, but those weapons were really irrelevant to a nuclear even testing.
No, there's a centrifuge. It was a centrifuge.
No. Like, I see a list of the things right here. There's like 50 missiles.
Are you?
They're not.
Okay. Check out the article I posted. They had them. He turned them over. This is the Washington Post. He turned them over to the U.S. government. He turned over the centrifuge and the plans. That's not irrelevant to nuclear weapons. That's how you make nuclear weapons.
Yeah, but in their list of things found, none of them were a centrifuge.
You're so fucking stupid. I can't believe that.
No. Like, why would they not have considered this? Like,
I
that
don't know
begs
why they
the-
didn't consider it. Are you
it
disputing that
boggles
it
the mind.
happened? Are you disputing that it happened? Because you
No,
can go
I'm just
call up the
trying to-
Washington Post to tell them they lied in their article about it.
No, it's not the Washington Post. Are you fucking kidding
I
me?
just posted a Washington Post link in BC General 1, Iraqi scientist turns over
Oh.
nuclear plans and parts. You goddamn moron.
So, okay, this article that you were showing me, I'm reading it now, and it says that he headed the program in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, it says
I can't
that-
see your room in
okay.
the list.
Can I,
You can't see my what?
Okay,
This
so
is-
no. The sign.
Okay, this is very
hey,
simple.
Hey,
This is
please.
very
All right,
simple.
I'll start a lobby up. I'll
Okay. Wait, this is very simple. They stopped. They halted the program. He kept the centrifuge. He buried it in his garden after they had halted the Iraqi nuclear program. Okay.
Yeah, apparently in 91. Right.
Oh, yeah, he had it all that time. Hey, Sam, how hard would it have been for them to use that centrifuge if it had been buried for about 12 years?
So someone had buried a centrifuge, according to themselves.
No, not according to. Shut up. Not according to themselves.
And
Shut
10
up.
years previous.
Are you gonna actually read the article I linked to? Or are you just gonna like keep repeating incredulously? Somebody found it, like according to him. Like, no, this is not like. Okay, Obeidi supplied U.S. officials with several components of a gas centrifuge. The head of the Institute for Science and International Security said. The scientist who contacted the group in late April said he buried the materials in his yard in 1991. Okay, so this is confirmed. It's confirmed. It's true that he handed these materials over. It's not according to him. It's true. Okay. So you can stop with the according to him, and the only evidence we have is something he said. We don't have. Why did the UN mention it? Well, we have evidence that it was real.
Okay. Before my Discord crashed, you asked me something.
Yeah. So what I was asking is, if the centrifuge had been buried in his garden in a barrel for about 12 years, how hard would it have been for them to use it if they wanted to restart their nuclear weapons program? Like, how would it have been likely to deteriorate?
No.
Okay. Okay, so they could have just used it at any time.
Yeah, they'd have to like dig it up, right? But no.
Right. Yeah.
The half-life of uranium is very long. Like, it would have been fine.
Well, a centrifuge is not uranium.
It's the spinny thing, right?
Yes, it's a centrifuge. It creates centrifugal force. And spins. Yeah, it's not uranium.
No. That's not what I'm.
So it would have been
You
really
bring up
easy then.
uranium.
So unless you're gonna keep claiming unless you're gonna keep like incredulously repeating like the fact that this guy had nuclear weapons parts, like do you then I don't see what you're disputing here.
No, really, he had uranium enrichment parts, right? And then realistically, they had been buried for over a decade, and they had not continued to produce these things even at the time we had been going to war with them. They were still buried, apparently. It's like, so they had never really dug it up and tried again. Like, that was an issue for the very early 90s.
Apparently Saddam was under the impression that they, according to Obeidi, Saddam was actually under the impression that they were still working on it.
Yeah, why would he think they're still working on it if it was still?
Oh, because he was out of his mind, because he was fucking insane. Because he was a paranoid mess.
So if he's that kind of insane, then was he really a threat? Jesus Christ.
Yes, absolutely. He was a threat to the Kurds. The Kurds he killed. He was a threat to the Iranians he killed. He was a threat to the people in his own country that he killed. He was a threat to the civilians that he butchered. I'm gonna finish. He was a threat. He was a threat to the Marsh Arabs, who he committed his second genocide against. He was a big fucking threat. Okay, to a lot of people.
Of course, what I meant is a nuclear threat. We're talking about his nuclear proliferation, not proliferation, but development. It's like
Oh, you
your
should be more
development had
specific
halted
then.
over a decade previous, and you're saying that he thought that it was continuing, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
he did
Then,
think it was. According to Mario Beatty, he did think it was.
so if he thought it was
So,
continuing and it wasn't, then he was not really much of a
yep.
nuclear threat.
Oh, wait, no. So, would you rather have dealt? So, would you rather have like dealt with for 20 or so more years, um, like them like pursuing a program? Would you rather have dealt with that? Because at some point he would have realized, oh, we're not actually doing that right now, are we? And yet at some point he would have started it up again, wouldn't he?
So it's a preventative measure in case that he were to try enriching uranium.
Oh, it's a measure because he had said he wanted a nuclear weapon. He had parts for a nuclear weapons
In
program.
the late 80s and very early 90s.
No. They didn't destroy them. They did not destroy them.
Well, yeah, they buried it, but it remained buried in 2003.
Oh, okay. What's your point? Yeah. He had those things. He was likely. He was like likely to become like more and more unhinged, and the more unhinged like he became, he was probably like more likely to want more deterrence against the people he had tried to like invade a couple times, right?
I don't know if that's justification, because like if the guy had the thing buried for over a decade, I don't think it would
Oh
be a
my
fair
god,
argument
keep
to say he would
repeating
dig
that.
them up eventually. No.
Oh yeah, they probably would have dug him up eventually.
But what if he forgot where he put him testing?
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, they probably would have dug him up eventually, Charnel. And they probably would have restarted the program eventually. He probably would have realized at some point, we're not doing that right now. We need to be doing that because we need preventative measure against our neighbors. Yeah. And would you have rather dealt with a continuous threat like that? Or would you rather he be gone?
Well, if anything, we should probably just make sure he doesn't dig them up, and we already had these sanctions.
Well, so we should put some guards
Oh, the
around the
sanctions.
garden.
So the sanctions didn't work to prevent them.
He was really pissed about the sanctions and tried to do everything he
Okay,
could
he
to
was
be
mad about the
perfect to
sanctions.
have them repealed. Yeah.
Okay, he was mad about the sanctions. Cool. So the sanctions didn't stop the nuclear weapon production, did it?
Well, it sure did, because he didn't dig it up, did he?
Okay.
What's the causal link between the
Yeah.
sanctions?
Yeah. What is the causal link there? Because this was something that was being done in secret. This wasn't something they were going to declare, so this wouldn't have been relevant to the sanctions.
And even though it was secret, they didn't dig the shit up, did they?
They didn't. That's true. They could have at any point. They could have easily created a nuclear weapon, according to the
And
lead
they
scientist.
didn't. Right, exactly. They could have, and they did not. So I mean,
And they
going
were,
to war with
and
them
he, and
in
the
case they
and he
were
was,
to.
and he was interested in creating one.
If he was interested, he would have had it dug up.
Oh, he was under the impression that they were working on a nuclear program.
And again, like, is this guy really a nuclear threat if he thinks that they had a
Clearly he
program and they
is.
didn't?
Clearly he is, because at some point he's going to realize, again, I've repeated this, at some point he's going to realize we're not working on that, let's work on that, let's restart our program, and let's get it done.
And at that point, maybe we should do something about it. But at the time,
No,
we
we should do that. No. Wait, no, we shouldn't do it at that point. We shouldn't do it at the point where, to where he's like incredibly close to a nuclear weapon.
Because you guys, we had monitoring at the time, nuclear monitoring from the
We didn't
UN.
find it. We didn't find it. We didn't find the parts.
Right. Yeah, but if they would have started a program, we would have known.
Oh. Maybe? It seems like we didn't know that they had these parts, so maybe not.
Maybe not. But yeah, I don't know. I think that we would have known.
Oh,
Like,
why?
we even saw
If we didn't know about the
thought,
parts, if we didn't know about the parts,
like,
why would we have known about this?
because we even found sites we thought could have been used for production because we saw radiation and so on, radiation sickness in the areas and so on. So it's like we ended up investigating. So if they were actually enriching uranium and dug up this centrifuge, then it's like theoretically we would see that that's happening.
Oh, so it's better. It's better, I think, to prevent that from happening before we have to like scramble to invade because they're enriching they're actively enriching uranium, it's better to do it before they ever get to enrich uranium. That's
So
what I
invade people in case they enrich uranium.
invade people because okay.
That is what you're saying, right?
I
Am I
love the bad
misunderstanding?
faith. I love the bad
No,
faith.
it's not bad
you
faith.
got
You
it. You
said
got
that
it
he
right.
It
You
is
got
bad
it wrong.
faith. It is definitely
Got
bad faith.
Fuck. Holy shit.
Turnell. I think Turnell's computer broke.
Thank God. Holy shit.
I think Get Gold did it.
Yeah, GetGold did it. GetGold DDoS'd him for denying the facts.
Yeah, that's why I was banging on my keyboard with all the hacking.
Holy shit. Fuck, I actually love foreign policy debates. I actually love this. This is so
That's
much more
great.
fun. It's so much
True.
more fun than anything else. Charnel, are you there? You busy praying to Saddam or something right now? Fuck. Stop making me pro-Iraq war, leftists. I'm gonna challenge the left to stop making me pro-Iraq war. Because it was
Left
not
to
a good
stop
war.
making me pro Iraq war challenge.